Introduction to the Galactic Martial Arts Tournament. In a distant corner of the Milky Way, nestled within the bustling Orion Arm, stood the prestigious Xerian Academy of Martial Arts. For millennia, this academy had been a beacon of discipline, strength, and interspecies cooperation. Every 50 years, it hosted the Galactic Martial Arts Tournament, a grand event that drew competitors from across known universes. The tournament was not merely a display of physical prowess. It was a celebration of cultural exchange, where diverse fighting styles converged in a spectacular showcase of skill. As preparations for this year's tournament reached their zenith, Grandmaster Zila, a venerable Zephyran with iridescent scales and piercing silver eyes, gazed out from his office window. The tournament grounds buzzed with activity. Beings from 1,000 worlds practiced their techniques, each eager to demonstrate their unique abilities. Among them were hulking Cronin warriors with stone-like skin, fluid Lith Etherian energy manipulators, tentacled Yulans demonstrating graceful movements, and Pyronyx fighters showcasing explosive flame-inspired katas. Zila's assistant, a young Volan named Zira, entered the room, her feathers ruffling with excitement. "Grandmaster," she chirped, her aven features barely containing her enthusiasm. "The preparations are complete. This year's tournament promises to be the most diverse yet." Zila nodded sagely, his long beard swaying gently as he contemplated her words. "Indeed, Zira," he replied thoughtfully. "And yet I sense a change in the cosmic winds. Something unexpected approaches." As if on cue, a holographic communication sprang to life on Zila's desk. The flickering image revealed Ambassador Krell, a Centurion diplomat known for his level-headedness. "Grandmaster Zila." Krell's gravelly voice filled the room as he cleared his throat. "I bring news that may complicate this year's tournament." Zila's brow furrowed slightly. "Speak freely, old friend." Krell took a deep breath before continuing. "The Galactic Council has decided to extend an invitation to a newly discovered species. They call themselves humans." Zera's feathers stood on end at this revelation. "Humans? I've never heard of them. Are they skilled in martial arts?" Krell's expression was difficult to read for non-Centurions. It seemed to convey a mix of amusement and concern. "That's just it. We're not entirely sure. Their planet, Earth, has been isolated from galactic affairs until now. But initial observations suggest they possess unusual abilities." Zela stroked his beard thoughtfully. "Unusual? How so?" Krell continued. "Their physical capabilities seem unremarkable at first glance, but they have this tenacity, a drive that defies logic. Their martial arts, let's just say they're unlike anything we've seen before." The Grandmaster's eyes narrowed with intrigue. "Are you suggesting they could pose a threat to the tournament's integrity?" Krell shook his head vigorously. No, nothing like that. It's just, well, you'll see. They're sending a small delegation. I thought you should be prepared." As Krell's hologram flickered out, Zela turned to Zera with renewed focus. "It seems our tournament just became more interesting. Prepare a welcome for our new human guests. And perhaps we should review the tournament rules just in case." Zira nodded eagerly and hurried out of the room as Zila returned his gaze to the window. He watched as ships from across the galaxy continued to arrive at the Academy's spaceport. Among them would be a small vessel from a blue planet called Earth, a vessel whose passengers would change the face of galactic martial arts forever. In the days that followed, Xerian Academy transformed into a melting pot of cultures and fighting styles. Competitors trained side by side. Hulking Cronin warriors practiced their earth-shattering techniques alongside Lith Etherian energy manipulators. Tentacled Yulans demonstrated their fluid water-like movements, while Pyronyx fighters showcased their explosive flame-inspired katas. Finally, on the day of their arrival, a small unassuming ship docked at the Academy spaceport. As its doors hissed open, 5 humans stepped out into the light of Zia's twin suns, blinking against its brightness as they took in their surroundings. Leading the group was Sarah Chen, a compact woman with fierce determination etched into her features. Behind her stood Marcus "Tank" Johnson, a mountain of muscle whose t-shirt strained against his powerful frame. Rounding out their team were Aisha Okafor, graceful yet fierce, Raj Patel, unassuming but sharp, and Jack O'Neill, the silver-haired veteran whose experience would prove invaluable. As they surveyed their surroundings with expressions ranging from awe to determination, Sarah stepped forward to address her team. "Remember, we're not just here to compete. We're representing Earth. Let's show the galaxy what humans are made of." Their arrival did not go unnoticed. Whispers rippled through gathered aliens. A mix of curiosity and skepticism filled the air. Many had never seen humans before. Initial impressions were mixed. They looked so fragile. One Cronan warrior rumbled with rocky skin glistening in sunlight. An Etherian floated nearby, its translucent body shimmering with inner light, responding with intrigue. And yet there's something about them, a spark I can't quite place. As the human team made their way toward registration, they found themselves face to face with Grandmaster Zila himself. His imposing presence caused even Tank to stand a little straighter as Zila's silver eyes scanned each member of their group. "Welcome, humans of Earth, to the Galactic Martial Arts Tournament," he said solemnly. "I am Grandmaster Zila. We are honored by your presence." Sarah stepped forward and bowed deeply, a gesture reflecting respect for tradition ingrained within her culture. "The honor is ours, Grandmaster. We're here to learn, compete, and share our own martial arts with the galaxy." A flicker of curiosity passed across Zila's face at her words. "Your own martial arts? And what might those be?" The humans exchanged glances, a mix of pride and mischief lighting up their eyes before Jack spoke up. "Well, sir, we've brought a variety. Kung Fu, Capoeira, Krav Maga, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and a little something we like to call good old-fashioned boxing." Zila's brow furrowed slightly, unfamiliar with these terms, but intrigued nonetheless. Intriguing. And these arts, they are effective against beings of various physiologies. Tank grinned as he cracked his knuckles confidently. "We're about to find out." Zila's expression remained neutral, but there was an unmistakable glimmer in his eyes, perhaps amusement or concern. "Indeed you are," he replied gravely. "The preliminary rounds begin tomorrow. I suggest you rest and prepare. The competition will be formidable." As Zila turned to leave, Zira approached her feathers now calm blue, a sign she was eager to assist these newcomers. "Please allow me to show you to your quarters, and if you have any questions about tournament rules or procedures, I'd be happy to assist." As they followed Zira through winding corridors adorned with alien art forms representing countless cultures throughout history, the gathered aliens continued watching closely, whispers circulating among them about this new species that had injected an element of unpredictability into their hallowed tournament. Some viewed it as an exciting development, while others feared potential disruption to established order within intergalactic combat traditions. Little did anyone know, the true impact of humanity's participation was yet to be revealed. As night fell over Zephyria, the human team settled into their assigned quarters for rest, their minds racing with possibilities that awaited them at dawn. Across Academy grounds, alien competitors prepared similarly, many wondering about strange new species joining ranks among them. With anticipation hanging thickly in air, the stage was set for events that would reshape very foundations upon which interstellar martial arts rested, and perhaps even change perceptions across galaxies forevermore. The preliminary rounds. As the first rays of Zia's twin suns barely crested the horizon, the tournament grounds erupted into a flurry of activity. Competitors from across the galaxy stretched, meditated, and performed last-minute warm-ups, each according to their species' unique physiology and customs. The atmosphere was electric with anticipation, a palpable energy that coursed through the air as spectators began to fill the stands. In the human quarters, Sarah Chen led her team through a series of stretches and breathing exercises. Her voice was calm but intense, resonating with a sense of purpose. "Remember," she urged, We're not just representing Earth, we're representing humanity's potential. As they made their way to the main arena, the human team couldn't help but marvel at the diversity around them. Creatures of all shapes, sizes, and compositions moved with purpose, some floating gracefully, others slithering across the ground, and a few that seemed to defy the laws of physics entirely. The vibrant colors and sounds created a sensory overload that both thrilled and intimidated them. At the center of the massive arena stood Grandmaster Zila, his voice amplified by some unseen technology. Welcome, esteemed competitors, to the 10,000th Galactic Martial Arts Tournament. May your techniques be true, your spirits unbreakable, and your conduct honorable. His presence commanded respect as he surveyed the crowd. The preliminary rounds were organized into multiple smaller arenas, each overseen by a judge from a different species. The human team split up, each member heading to a different arena for their first matches. Sarah felt a surge of adrenaline as she entered her designated area, her heart racing with excitement and determination. Aisha versus the Graviton. Aisha found herself facing off against a Graviton, a being capable of manipulating local gravity fields. As the match began, she launched into a series of capoeira moves, her body twisting and flowing in ways that seemed to confuse her amorphous opponent. The Graviton attempted to pin Aisha to the ground with increased gravitational force, but she used this to her advantage. With each movement, Aisha incorporated elements of breakdancing into her capoeira routine. She spun and contorted her body in ways that left her opponent struggling to predict her next move. The crowd gasped as she executed a gravity-defying flip, landing a decisive kick that sent the Graviton tumbling out of the ring. Extraordinary, murmured the Aetherian judge, its body pulsing with excitement. The human has turned her opponent's strength into a weapon against them. Such adaptability. Tank versus the Cronin warrior. Meanwhile, Tank squared off against a Cronin warrior whose rocky exterior towered over him like a mountain. The Cronin's fists resembled boulders as it launched a devastating punch toward Tank. To everyone's surprise, Tank slipped to the side with surprising agility for his size and delivered a thunderous body shot that echoed through the arena. The impact was shocking. Cracks appeared in the Cronin's stony exterior as it staggered back. Impossible, roared the Cronin coach from the sidelines. No flesh-based life form should be able to damage Cronin physiology. Tank grinned despite the pain in his knuckles as he settled back into his boxing stance. That's the thing about us humans, he quipped with bravado. We tend to do 6 impossible things before breakfast. Raj versus the Mentalist. In another arena, Raj found himself in a battle of wits as much as physicality against a mentalist from the Cygnus system, a being capable of predicting and countering his every move. Raj's training in Krav Maga emphasized neutralizing threats quickly and efficiently, which proved challenging for his telepathic opponent. Just as the mentalist thought it had read Raj's intentions perfectly, he changed tactics abruptly. His strikes were precise and devastatingly effective. Each movement was calculated yet fluid. The Yulian judge observed with fascination as it noted furiously. The human's ability to alter its strategy mid-combat is remarkable. It's as if their minds are in constant flux. Sarah versus the Exertion. Sarah showcased fluid yet powerful movements of kung fu against an Exertion, a multi-line creature with extra arms that initially seemed like an overwhelming advantage. However, Sarah's mastery of redirecting force turned those limbs into liabilities. She flowed around her opponent's attacks with grace and precision, using its own momentum against it to throw it off balance. Most intriguing, shittered the insectoid judge watching closely from above. The human's technique emphasizes harmony with her opponent's energy rather than direct opposition. Jack versus the Pyronics fighter. But it was Jack, the silver-haired veteran, who truly captured everyone's attention in his match against a Pyronics fighter whose body emanated intense heat. Jack appeared severely outmatched. Temperatures around him rose to unbearable levels for most species. Yet Jack stood there calm and collected. His weathered face showed no sign of discomfort as he awaited his opponent's onslaught. The Pyronics launched a barrage of flame-enhanced strikes at Jack, who moved with an economy of motion that spoke of decades of experience. Instead of dodging every attack, Jack chose his movements carefully, conserving energy while waiting for the perfect moment to strike. When that moment came, it was like watching poetry in motion. He closed the distance in an instant. Before anyone could process what had happened, Jack's hands moved in a blur, striking precisely where he needed to. And soon enough, the Pyronics fighter lay on the ground extinguished and tapping out in submission. A hush fell over the arena, broken only by Jack helping his opponent to its feet after their match concluded, his gesture exuding respect for his fellow fighter. "Good match," he said simply while bowing humbly. From his vantage point above them all, Grandmaster Zilla watched intently, the human performances igniting growing interest within him. "Zira," he called to his assistant urgently as she scribbled notes nearby. "Make a note. We may need to reevaluate our understanding of advanced martial arts." Aftermath of preliminary rounds. As the preliminary rounds concluded, word spread quickly through tournament grounds. The humans who had initially been dismissed as fragile curiosities had proven themselves formidable competitors. More than that, their diverse fighting styles and adaptability caught attention from martial artists across galaxies. In competitor lounges filled with aliens huddled together discussing unexpected turn of events, one quantum shifter still nursing its bruises exclaimed, "Did you see how that small one moved? It was like watching water flow through an obstacle course." A Cronin nurse tending to Tank's injuries shook its rocky head in disbelief. "I've never seen damage like this from a soft-bodied species. Their physical strength defies their appearance." Even defeated Pyronics fighters still cooling down joined conversations. "It wasn't just strength," one hissed while steam rose from its body. "The old one read my movements as if he'd been fighting Pyronics for centuries." As day's events wound down, the human team regrouped in their quarters, tired but exhilarated by what they had accomplished so far. Sarah looked at her team with pride. "Great work out there, everyone. But remember, this is just beginning. Tomorrow we face even greater challenges." Raj, ever analytical, was already analyzing their performances. "We've certainly made an impression, but we've also revealed some capabilities. Other competitors will be better prepared tomorrow." Aisha nodded enthusiastically. "Then we'll just have to keep surprising them. They haven't seen everything we can do yet." Tank grinned widely while nursing bruised knuckles. "Bring it on. I haven't had this much fun in years." Jack remained quiet but simply smiled, wisdom evident in his eyes. "Just remember," he said softly while tapping his temple gently, "the greatest strength of humanity isn't just found within our fists or feet. It lies here." He placed one hand over his heart before they settled down for rest once again. As night fell on Zephyria, a once familiar atmosphere at Galactic Martial Arts Tournament shifted dramatically. The humans who had been an afterthought were now at center stage. Competitors and spectators alike wondered what other surprises these strange adaptable beings might have in store. Little did they know, the true impact of humanity's participation was yet fully revealed. As tournament progressed, boundaries between alien and human martial arts would blur, leading innovations and collaborations reshaping very foundations combat across galaxy. The stage was set for revolution within martial arts, with humanity standing proudly at its center, and stars themselves twinkled brightly above, anticipating what coming days would bring. The advanced rounds. As the second day of the Galactic Martial Arts Tournament dawned, the atmosphere was charged with excitement and tension. News of the human team's unexpected prowess had spread like wildfire, drawing curious spectators from all corners of the galaxy. The stands were packed, a kaleidoscope of alien life forms jostling for the best views, eager to witness the next chapter in this unfolding saga. Grandmaster Zella stood at the center of the main arena, his voice amplified by advanced technology that carried across the vastness of the space. "Welcome, esteemed competitors, to the advanced rounds of the 10,000th Galactic Martial Arts Tournament. Today, we push the boundaries of our arts. Remember, true victory lies not just in defeating your opponent, but in inspiring one another and expanding our understanding of martial prowess. The human team gathered for a quick huddle before dispersing to their respective matches. Sarah's eyes gleamed with determination as she addressed her teammates. They'll be ready for our basic moves now. It's time to show them what humanity is really capable of. Aisha versus the Graviton. Aisha was first up against a Graviton, a being capable of manipulating local gravity fields. As the match began, Aisha felt an immediate shift in her surroundings. Gravity fluctuated wildly around her. However, instead of panicking, she drew upon her capoeira training and incorporated elements of breakdancing into her movements. With each twist and turn, Aisha utilized the increased downward force to her advantage. She spun and contorted her body in ways that left her opponent struggling to predict her next move. The crowd gasped as she executed a gravity-defying flip, landing a decisive kick that sent the Graviton tumbling out of the ring. "Extraordinary," murmured the Aetherian judge, its body pulsing with excitement. The human has turned her opponent's strength into a weapon against them. Such adaptability. Raj versus the holographic entity. Meanwhile, Raj found himself pitted against a holographic entity, a being of pure light and energy capable of creating illusory duplicates of itself. As multiple versions surrounded him, Raj closed his eyes and relied on his other senses. He began to move in a way that seemed almost meditative. His Krav Maga techniques blended seamlessly with elements of Tai Chi. Each strike was precise and fluid, dispelling an illusion until only the true holographic entity remained. The Yulian judge observed in awe as Raj's ability to center himself amidst chaos transformed what could have been a disadvantage into heightened awareness. "Incredible," murmured the judge. The human has found a way to navigate through confusion, turning visual disadvantage into clarity. Tank versus the Quantum Shifter. Tank's match drew perhaps the largest crowd as he faced off against a quantum shifter, a being capable of phasing in and out of different dimensional states. As his opponent flickered in and out of reality, Tank seemed momentarily stunned, but quickly adapted by embracing an unexpected approach. He began to dance, his movements rhythmic and almost predictable. The quantum shifter became confused by this unorthodox strategy, falling into Tank's rhythm as its dimensional shifts synchronized with his movements. At just the right moment when the shifter phased back into this dimension, Tank unleashed a devastating combination of punches that sent shockwaves through the arena. The insectoid judge chittered in amazement. The human used rhythm as a predictive tool against an unpredictable opponent. Such innovative thinking. Sarah versus the telekinetic. Sarah's match showcased a different kind of innovation as she faced off against a telekinetic from the Pleiades cluster. Initially, she found her traditional kung fu techniques being countered before she could execute them. In a moment of inspiration, she began incorporating elements of sign language into her movements. Her hands flowed in complex patterns, each gesture serving as both an attack and misdirection for her opponent's telekinetic predictions. When she finally struck, it was with a combination so unexpected that the telekinetic had no time to react. "Fascinating," mused the Centurion judge from above. The human has weaponized communication itself, turning a non-combat skill into a martial technique. Jack versus the temporal manipulator. However, it was Jack's match that truly stole the show as he faced off against a temporal manipulator, a being capable of slowing down or speeding up localized time around him. Jack appeared hopelessly outmatched as bubbles of accelerated and decelerated time surrounded him. Yet Jack remained calm. He closed his eyes and began to breathe deeply. To everyone's shock, instead of withering under pressure, he seemed to grow more vibrant, moving with youthful vitality while striking with the wisdom that only age could bring. It was as if he had learned to surf on waves of time itself, using his opponent's manipulations to draw upon both his younger self's strength and his older self's experience simultaneously. The temporal manipulator grew increasingly desperate, attempting to trap Jack in a bubble of slow time. But Jack moved through it effortlessly, as if it were nothing more than a gentle breeze, his strikes landing with devastating precision until he emerged victorious once more. As silence fell over the arena following Jack's stunning performance, Grandmaster Zila approached him with wide eyes filled with wonderment. How is this possible?" he asked, his usual composure shaken. Jack smiled warmly. Lines deepened on his face as he replied simply, "Where I come from, we have a saying, age is just a number. I've lived every moment, the good and bad, and all those experiences are not weaknesses, they're my strengths." Aftermath of advanced rounds. As the day's matches concluded, word spread quickly through tournament grounds. The humans who had initially been dismissed as fragile curiosities had proven themselves formidable competitors. More than that, their diverse fighting styles and adaptability caught attention from martial artists across galaxies. In competitor lounges filled with aliens huddled together discussing unexpected turns of events, one quantum shifter still nursing its bruises exclaimed, "Did you see how they adapted? It's like they can rewrite their own programming on the fly." "It's more than that," added a telekinetic from earlier matches. "They're not just adapting. They're incorporating elements from their entire culture into their fighting styles. Every human experience becomes potential weapon or defense." As evening settled over Zephyria, the human team regrouped once again in their quarters, tired but exhilarated by what they had accomplished so far. Sarah looked at her team with pride. "Great work out there, everyone. But remember, we still have more challenges ahead." Raj chimed in analytically. "We've certainly made an impression, but we've also revealed some capabilities. Other competitors will be better prepared tomorrow." Aisha nodded eagerly while still buzzing from adrenaline. "Then we'll just have to keep surprising them. They haven't seen everything we can do yet." Tank grinned widely while nursing bruised knuckles. "Bring it on. I haven't had this much fun in years." Jack remained quiet but simply smiled, wisdom evident in his eyes. "Just remember," he said softly while tapping his temple gently, "the greatest strength isn't just found within our fists or feet. It lies here." He placed one hand over his heart before they settled down for rest once again. As night fell on Zephyria, the atmosphere at Galactic Martial Arts Tournament shifted dramatically once more. The humans who had been an afterthought were now at center stage. Competitors and spectators alike wondered what other surprises these strange adaptable beings might have in store. Little did anyone know, the true impact of humanity's participation was yet fully revealed. As tournament progressed, boundaries between alien and human martial arts would blur, leading innovations and collaborations reshaping very foundations combat across galaxy. The stage was set for revolution within martial arts, with humanity standing proudly at its center, and stars themselves twinkled brightly above, anticipating what coming days would bring. The turning point. As the tournament entered its third day, the human team found themselves facing increasingly difficult opponents. The element of surprise was no longer on their side, and their alien counterparts had adapted their strategies to counter the unique human fighting styles. However, the humans refused to be deterred, drawing upon their adaptability and innovative spirit to overcome each challenge. Aisha versus the Graviton. Aisha's match against the Graviton was a rematch from the previous round, but this time her opponent had studied her capoeira-inspired techniques closely. As the match began, the Graviton manipulated the gravity fields with precision, attempting to pin Aisha to the ground. Aisha, however, had a trick up her sleeve. She began to incorporate elements of wushu into her movements, using the increased gravity to her advantage. Her jumps and flips became more explosive, and she used the downward force to generate powerful strikes. The crowd gasped as Aisha executed a series of gravity-defying maneuvers, her body twisting and contorting in ways that left the Graviton struggling to keep up. With a final, gravity-assisted kick, she sent her opponent tumbling out of the ring once more. "Incredible!" exclaimed the Aetherian judge, its body pulsing with excitement. The human has adapted her technique, combining it with another style to overcome her opponent's countermeasures. Raj versus the holographic entity. Raj's match against the holographic entity took an unexpected turn when his opponent began to incorporate elements of illusion into its attacks. As duplicates surrounded him, Raj closed his eyes and focused on his other senses. However, this time, he took it a step further, drawing upon his knowledge of Kalaripayattu. He began to move in a way that seemed almost like a dance, his strikes precise and flowing. With each movement, he generated a pulse of energy that disrupted the holographic illusions. The crowd watched in awe as Raj navigated the shifting landscape of light and shadow, his strikes landing with unerring accuracy. "Remarkable," murmured the Yulian judge. "The human has found a way to manipulate the very energy that sustains his opponent's illusions, turning it against them." Tank versus the quantum shifter. Tank's rematch against the quantum shifter proved to be a true test of his adaptability. As his opponent flickered in and out of reality, Tank refused to be caught off guard. He began to incorporate elements of capoeira into his boxing, using the unpredictable movements to confuse and disorient the shifter. The arena echoed with the sound of Tank's fists striking the quantum shifter as it phased back into this dimension. The shifter, caught off guard by the unexpected combination of styles, struggled to maintain its dimensional shifts. "Incredible," chittered the insectoid judge. "The human has found a way to disrupt his opponent's dimensional manipulations by blending two seemingly disparate styles." Sarah versus the telekinetic. Sarah's match against the telekinetic was a battle of wills as much as physicality. Her opponent had adapted its strategy, using a combination of telekinetic attacks and illusions to keep Sarah off balance. However, Sarah refused to be intimidated, drawing upon her knowledge of Tai Chi. She began to move in a way that seemed almost like a meditation, her hands flowing in complex patterns that disrupted the telekinetic's concentration. As her opponent struggled to maintain its focus, Sarah struck with precision, her strikes landing with devastating force. "Fascinating," mused the Centurion judge. "The human has found a way to use her opponent's own energy against them, turning the telekinetic's power into a liability." Jack versus the temporal manipulator. Jack's rematch against the temporal manipulator was a true test of his wisdom and experience. As the manipulator created bubbles of accelerated and decelerated time around him, Jack closed his eyes and began to breathe deeply. To everyone's shock, instead of withering under the pressure, he seemed to grow more vibrant, moving with the vitality of youth while striking with the wisdom of age. It was as if he had learned to surf on waves of time itself, using his opponent's manipulations to draw upon both his younger self's strength and his older self's experience simultaneously. The temporal manipulator grew increasingly desperate, attempting to trap Jack in a bubble of slow time. But Jack moved through it effortlessly, as if it were nothing more than a gentle breeze, his strikes landing with devastating precision until he emerged victorious once more. As silence fell over the arena following Jack's stunning performance, Grandmaster Zila approached him with wide eyes filled with wonderment. How is this possible?" he asked, his usual composure shaken. Jack smiled warmly, lines deepening on his face as he replied simply, "Where I come from, we have a saying, age is just a number. I've lived every moment, the good and bad, and all those experiences are not weaknesses. They're my strengths." Part 5. The Conclusion and Legacy. As the tournament reached its climax, the human team found themselves facing their toughest challenges yet. They had proven their mettle against individual opponents, but now they faced the ultimate test, a team match against the reigning champions, a formidable group of alien martial artists known as the Galactic Guardians. The Guardians were a well-oiled machine, their techniques honed to perfection through years of training and experience. They had never been defeated, and many believed that no team, let alone a group of humans, could stand against them. However, the human team refused to be intimidated. They had come too far to back down now. As they stepped onto the main arena, Sarah addressed her teammates one last time. Remember, we're not just fighting for ourselves anymore. We're fighting for every being in this galaxy who has ever been told they can't achieve their dreams. Let's show them what humanity is made of. The match was a brutal display of skill and determination. The Guardians unleashed a barrage of attacks, their techniques seamless and devastating. But the humans refused to be cowed. They fought with every ounce of their being, drawing upon their diverse styles and innovative spirit to counter each attack. As the match reached its climax, the arena was filled with the sound of clashing techniques and the roar of the crowd. The Guardians fought with the desperation of a team facing its first defeat, but the humans refused to back down. In the end, it was a single moment that turned the tide of the match. As a Guardian prepared to deliver a devastating blow, Jack stepped in, his movements a blur. He struck with precision, disrupting the Guardians' technique and sending them tumbling to the ground. The arena fell silent as the humans stood victorious, their opponents tapping out in submission. For a moment, no one moved, as if they couldn't quite believe what they had witnessed. Then the crowd erupted into thunderous applause, the sound echoing through the halls of the Zirian Academy. Grandmaster Zayla approached the human team, his eyes shining with pride and wonder. "You have shown us the true meaning of martial arts," he said, his voice filled with emotion. "You have taught us that strength comes not just from physical prowess, but from the heart and the mind." As the humans stood on the podium, their medals gleaming in the light, they knew that they had achieved something greater than just a victory. They had changed the way the galaxy viewed martial arts, and they had done it by staying true to who they were. In the days and weeks that followed, the impact of the human team's triumph reverberated through the galaxy. Alien martial artists flocked to Earth, eager to learn from the humans and to incorporate their techniques into their own styles. Collaborations sprang up between human and alien dodos, leading to innovations that pushed the boundaries of martial arts. The Galactic Martial Arts Tournament itself underwent a transformation, with the humans becoming permanent fixtures in the competition. Their presence served as a reminder that true strength comes not from physical ability alone, but from the willingness to adapt, innovate, and push the boundaries of what is possible. And as for the human team, they returned to Earth as heroes, their exploits celebrated by people from all walks of life. They knew that their journey was far from over, that there were still battles to be fought and challenges to be overcome. But they also knew that they were ready, that they had the strength and the spirit to face whatever the galaxy threw at them. For in the end, the true legacy of the human team's triumph was not just a victory in a tournament, but a message to the entire galaxy that no matter how great the odds, no matter how daunting the challenge, the human spirit would always find a way to prevail.